Hello everybody, good morning. Welcome back to the stream. Always good to see you all. Yeah, so today we're going to be finishing up the Obelisk, at least, you know, not like mechanically. There's still some more stuff to add to it, but I want to finish up the animations and get it all looking nice and in the game. And then the next big thing that I want to move on to is experimenting with how to change how the player board size increase works. So I don't know if we're going to get to that today, but we might get to it tomorrow. But yeah, making some big changes to the game to, you know, hopefully make it better. So before I get into that, though, I'm a little bit scattered here. Before I get into that, I want to remind everyone that Alchemortis is available for wishlisting on Steam, and the playtest is still available too. So the playtest will be available for like 24 more hours. So if you haven't played it yet, go to the Steam page, click Request Access, play it, let me know what you think. You can join the Discord server to leave your feedback, so please do that. You can also support Alchemortis by joining as a Patreon member. If you subscribe for 1 month at this sponsor tier here, I will send you an Alchemortis Steam key for the full game when it launches on Steam, and I will also put your name in the in-game Alchemortis credits. And I also have my Udemy courses available for sale. These will teach you how to build a complete game in the Godot engine. So all those ways are great ways to support me, but of course you could support for free by just liking the video, subscribing to the channel, also joining the Discord, which is linked below. So all that stuff is very helpful. Alrighty, so what do we currently got going on with this Obelisk here? So I think the main thing left to do is to animate the Obelisk the node changes, because right now it just kind of instantaneously flips. So if I go in here to an Obelisk, let's just skip this, go here to an Obelisk. So if I select one of these things, what it will do is it will pan the camera around to the nodes that are changing, and that's great, but they just instantaneously change. So I probably want to do an animation for that, and I'm also going to want to do an animation for those braziers as well. And oh, the other thing I need to do is I actually need to make the obelisks have a proper rule placement kind of function. That doesn't look right. So right now the obelisks are just very commonly placed in the map. So I'm going to have to change that. I'm going to have to change that so that they're more properly paced inside the map. But anyway, hello Clickertail, welcome back. Hello Edo Makes Games. Rookie Tookie, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Emerson. Hello Sid. Welcome, welcome. I'm finally finishing second playtest for my game. I'm extremely happy. I added so much things I can't wait for people to try it. Probably like 20 people will play it, but I'm still excited. Yeah. Every win, every win, no matter how small, is still a win, right? That's great though. I'm glad to hear that. Cool. All right, that looks great. So yeah, we got to do the fire effects and we got to do the animation for when the nodes change over. Let me think. How do I want to animate that? Let me write this down actually. I'm gonna forget all the things that I need to do. I'm gonna write this down. So that's done. Let's do add fire FX to Obelisk braziers. Move this up here and then properly balance difficulty and frequency of Obelisk. Okay. Cool. It's a joy like no other when somebody plays your game. It's true, yeah. That's definitely true. All right, so I actually think that's the case for not just games, but anything. Even when I was a software engineer and I was making features that our customers would then go on to use, that's a very satisfying experience too. Like knowing that you solved a problem for a customer by adding that to the app that went out to, thousands of people, and then the customers start using it and you hear no complaints, you hear no bugs. That's a great feeling too. Anyway, what am I doing? Right, let's go to the map node here. So this needs to change. I mean, I could just fade out the icon, I think. Maybe I'll do that. I think that's going to be the easy thing to do. Update map node. So this is being done in response to, or it's being done here, on run map node type changed. Interesting. So that's going to be done as a result of this change node type and generate configurations here. So on map node type changed, I wonder if I should just animate it by default in here. So if I go to update map node here, maybe we'll do like a bool animate equals false. We'll do if not animate. We're just going to set the icon texture there to that. Else, well, we'll just return out of that. Okay, var tween is equal to create tween dot tween property. No. Oh, that's not what I want to do. Probably want to make this an async method actually. Await visual utilities dot fade out icon. Icon dot texture is equal to resource dot icon. Await visual utilities fade in icon. That should work. I wonder if that's all the animation that I need to do. I was hemming and hawing about this being like, oh, what am I going to do about this? How am I going to get it to work? And it could just be as simple as that. Oh, I forgot to do one thing though. I forgot to put this in here. Hello, Vicious the End. It's going well. How are you doing? Welcome back. Good morning, Neozoid. Good to see all of you again. Okay, get sold. Sold the cultist into slavery. Anyway, let's see. So do this one. Oh, it's not waiting for the animation though, so I definitely need to fix that. So I actually do need to await this. No. Oh, shoot. Okay, this is not going to be as easy as I thought it was going to be. It actually might be. What is that fade in, fade out by default? Let's see. Visual utilities. Fade in, the default time is 0.5, 0.5. So if I just do this, if I just add an extra 1 second to that interval there, I wonder if that would be sufficient. So I've got a little bit of like asynchronous or parallel animation stuff happening here, which is probably okay. It's just an icon animation. It doesn't affect the gameplay at all. So if the timing ends up being a little bit off in some situations, I think that's okay. Okay, that is a little bit slow. So I'm actually going to change this. I'm going to change these fade out. I can pass in a time in here. So we could do 0.3f for the time. So we'll cut it down by, 2/5 of a second total. And then this can turn into just 1 second here. The unfortunate thing about tweens is that you can't really see what they look like until you run the game. Sweet. I think that looks great. Why not? I'm using the built-in animation tools that I already have. Don't need to make it fancier than that. Awesome. Let's do it again. Sweet. I think that looks great. All right. Animate obelisk node changes. Very cool, very cool. Alrighty then. There's one other thing that I want to test real quick. And that is what happens if I pause the game while that obelisk animation is going. I think it should just work. But we're going to try it. Where are my obelisks? There's one. Yep, that works. Very cool. Alrighty then. Very cool. Now we got to do the particle effects for the braziers. So let's go ahead and bring up the brazier scene here. I'm gonna do fire effect. Is this what I wanted? Animation player. That's not quite what I want, but let me think for a second here. Take all those, put this here. Oh. Canvas group. Where did that go? Fire effect, we're going to copy these things. We're going to paste those under there. Okay. Let's just move this whole thing over and here. That'll work. Now we got to make this unique. Process material, make unique recursive. Okay. Same here. Make unique recursive. Okay. So this does not need to be one shot. We're going to turn the amount down. Lifetime up. Spawn. Position is fine. Angle is fine. Velocity, this needs to be turned down quite a bit. Oh, I've got some accelerations here. Nope, that's fine. Get rid of the radial velocity. There we go. Okay. The spawn area needs to be changed. Position, emission shape, box. Box extents. Something like that. I'm going to change the scale as well. That should work. Just trying to think for 1 second here about how I want this to look. That should be fine though. But I do probably want to do a flame burst here when it's selected, so let's edit this flame burst a little bit. Spawn, position, box. What did I do for the extents? I think 6. Yeah, that works. Velocity. Direction, we're going to turn down the spread. And then let's do -1. Oh, this is going to be a problem. This is going to be a problem. Well, I'm going to change the time here to 0.4. No, 0.3. Okay. That'll work, I suppose. Accelerations, gravity. We don't want gravity. Angular velocity is fine. Radial velocity off. Okay, we'll change this display scale here. That is not... Maybe that'll work. Let's change it a little bit, actually. Spawn point. Direction -1. Spread 45. Okay, hopefully that works. Drawing, we're going to use local coords for these things. Okay. I've been enjoying the playtest. Maybe made it to the end a few times. The lone kitties have been amusing. Yeah. This looks fire. Thank you. Yeah, I think I still have some work to do on the combat balancing for sure. I made a bunch of changes to the wave function collapse. There, I said it. I made a bunch of changes to the wave function collapse algorithm since the playtest, and there are some new problems. So I'm gonna have to address that as well. Lots of stuff to do. Oh, this game. This game was supposed to be simple, and here it is not being simple. The game was supposed to be simple. It's supposed to be easy on art. It was supposed to be easy on UI. And now it's probably the most complicated game in all aspects that I've ever made. Oh well. Oh well. Okay, public override void ready. We want to do clicked plus equals on clicked. What we're going to do is private void on clicked flame burst dot emitting is equal to true. Flame dot emitting is equal to true. All right, let's just take a gander at what that does. Where's asymmetrics when we need them? Yeah. Apologies for the fat fingers. I think the complexity is a result of landing on fertile design space. Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, the complexity, yeah. What's kind of cool about this game is that it's complex in terms of the technical implementation, but there's a lot of emergent, like, complexity that just comes from how the systems work. Okay, that works. So I also need to fade this out, so I need to get it referenced to the canvas group. And I think what I can do is I can do visual utilities, fade out canvas group. I think that will work. So yeah, this game is really, I mean, I think the intrigue is there both from the theme and from the strategic possibilities. So really at this point of development, it's mostly about giving the player more strategic choices, making the combat, making the alchemy more engaging, giving the player more agency, just generally speaking. And then once that feels good, then I can start building the meta systems and add multiple playable characters and all kinds of stuff like that. But yeah, the next phase of development is really going to be focused on maximizing that player agency, maximizing the strategic choice that the player has. So yeah, we'll see if I can do that. Okay, that seems to work pretty good. Awesome. I like it. What's interesting about the obelisk too is because it can change any node in the radius, including nodes that you visited, it may actually pressure you to go back down, which, you know, generally in the game you want to keep moving up because that's where the new regions are, they're north. But the obelisk may tempt you to take a little dip back down, which is cool. I like that. What will be the first thing you'll do when the game reaches 1 million copies sold? I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to make any promises. First thing I'll do, well, first thing is find a CPA that can save me the maximum amount of taxes. That would be the first thing. The second thing would be to open up a gray offshore bank account that's untouchable so that I don't have to pay any taxes. The next thing would be to buy a couple of politicians. What else? I don't know. I have big ambitions, you know? Anyway, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do all that. I'm going to pay my taxes like a dutiful citizen. Please don't send agents to my door. Okay. Bob's Obelisk Emporium. Sounds complicated, yeah. But you've coded this game, so yeah. All right. I think the obelisk is actually feeling pretty good now. So aside from adding more obelisk effects, which is something that I definitely want to do, I think I'm going to call it done in terms of its like art and functionality. So this is done. This is done. Now I just have to properly balance it. So let's get that properly balanced. So the main balance places is in the run map generator. So right now I have it relatively common. Here has an obelisk. I'm trying to think. How common do I want to make this? We'll just make it 10. Make it 10 there. Obelisk. Does the obelisk have tiers? No, the obelisk is not going to have a tier. So I've already set that so that it doesn't have a tier. I need to think about that some more too. Valid start neighbor types. We're going to add the obelisk as a valid start neighbor type. Okay. And then in the difficulty scorer here, this obelisk, let's see. So grow board definitely increases the score by the most. So this difficulty scorer class here, this is what determines how difficult the combats are. And so basically the way that this algorithm works is it's a heuristic. So I just assigned random score values to every node type here. And then I have this score per cell, score per additional node tier. So basically every 50 score, every 50 points of score corresponds to one cell on an enemy board being occupied. So if I determine that an enemy board needs to have a score of 150, what that basically says is that 3 cells on the board need to be occupied by cards. If it has a score of 500, then it could either be 10 cells on the board occupied by cards, or I also have scoring for how much those enemy cards are upgraded. So, for example, I add a score of 25 per cell that is occupied by, well, how do I want to say this? For every tier above the first, I add 25 points to the cell, to each cell that the card occupies, basically. And then what happens is in this algorithm here, when I call this get optimal path score, basically what I do is I look at the node that I want to score, and I get the optimal path to that node from the start node. So the optimal path here is not optimal in terms of power, it's optimal in terms of fewest moves. So what is the path that takes the fewest moves to get from the start node to the node that I want to score? And then I add some fudging in here a little bit. So this is the minimum number of traversals to get to that node. I will add, for every 12 jumps, I will add an additional traversal there just to fudge it, to account for the fact that the player's not going to be following an optimal path. They're going to be branching off a little bit. And then what I do is I go through every node within that traversal path, and I use these scores to sum up the score value. So for instance, if the optimal path contains 3 grow boards, then that's going to be, what is that, 240 points just from the grow boards. But there's also probably going to be health upgrades, card upgrades, etc. So basically, I'm just going through the optimal path and summing up all of the score values that I've assigned here. And that determines what the score should be for a combat node, basically. That's how I'm controlling the difficulty in this game. And again, it's all heuristics. Like, these numbers don't mean anything. They're just kind of like, they're just numbers that I can tweak. But I think the Obelisk probably needs to be something a little bit more score incurring. Maybe we'll do 35 for the Obelisk as well. Okay, so now what we can do is run the game. We're going to turn the debug fog reveal radius up to 3000 so I can see. Okay, let's see if we got any obelisks here. There's one. There's another one. Cool. There's one there. There's one there. I should have an output here. How many obelisks are there? 9 obelisks. That seems reasonable to me. Game development on a Thursday. Yes, indeed. Every day is game development day, except for Sundays, apparently. I'm busy on Sundays. From my playing, it feels like enchants should be weighed a bit more. Most of my best runs are from good early enchants that snowball. Yeah, I have to do more playtesting. I don't want to necessarily change the balance of the game. I mean, I do want to change the balance of the game. I want to change how the player board size increase works before I do any more balancing on anything else. Okay. I want to see if it's possible for there to be two obelisks side by side. That should be the case. But I don't know how to find one. Hey, cat, can you stop? What are you doing? Okay. Oh, there's two obelisks right there. I definitely want obelisks to be able to be placed close together because they can overlap the effects that they apply. Hello, Liu. I added a new obelisk node type, which allows you to change nodes within the radius. So if I go here to this obelisk, Shurima, stop! What are you doing? Come here, come here. Do you want to say hi to the stream? What are you doing? Come here. Wow. Say hi. Say hi. Okay. Been wondering for a while about the lighting effects on the map node sprites as the player approaches. How does that work? That is a good question. How does that work? Basically, I mean, it's a shader of some kind. So in this game, I have a shader that allows me to step through the colors, right? So when I do a fade out effect, it's not like a transparency fade. It steps through the colors in the color palette down all the way to the black color. So again, I'm trying to maintain that every pixel that gets drawn to the screen is one of the 8 colors in the palette. So I have that shader. I think the way that the light shader works is that there is a... So if you imagine a rectangle that's placed over the screen that steps down all of the colors by 1, so it makes everything darker by 1 step. And then there is a circular radius drawn in the middle of that texture or at the player's position, which will step up the colors, or at least not step down the color. So that's basically the way that it's doing. So the shader will look at, you know, that texture and it will say anywhere where there's white, which is the radius, the light radius, we don't step down the colors, and anywhere that's black, the colors get stepped down. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I haven't looked at that shader in a while, but that's basically how it works. I participated in the playtest. My experience is good. The game is actually challenging. Managing the cards and also the board size and the player, there's a chance that you don't get an expansion. Yeah, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm glad that you're finding it challenging. I think it's a big step up from the previous playtest, but there are still a bunch of problems that I need to address. One of those problems is figuring out how to expand the board size. So that's something that I want to do next, for sure. Cat, yes. Hi, Cat. So anyway, I can change these node types here. Perfect. And then I could go here now. And I could modify the combat nodes even further. So I go here. If I do that, now I could have combat nodes that have blood reward increased by 10 and blood reward increased by 5. Is it using your color palette as a lookup table for mapping colors to the closest match? I don't remember how it works. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, well, the obelisk is working good. Cool. Alrighty then. So I'm going to merge that branch over, which means I'm going to have to close this. Let me go ahead and merge that really quick. Okay, we'll go to master here. Pull that down. Okay. Git fetch prune. Wait. Does that not work? Oh, I didn't delete the branch yet. Oops. Okay. Now we're good. I can go back into my Alchemortis project here. All right. So yeah, I do want to... So that's done. I'm going to put this in ideas here. Obelisk. Effects. Alrighty. My cat is just being ridiculous right now. I think that's it. You did it on stream. Oh, okay. Hello, Meep. Welcome back. Good to see you. So the question is, do I want to start experimenting with how to increase the player board size now? It's incredibly effective in either case. Really looks like the nodes reflect the light from your lantern as you approach. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I think there's another piece that I didn't mention, but I'm sure is that I think there's a scrolling noise texture that will step up the color of nodes. So you've got a region where the color isn't changed. Outside of that region, the color is stepped down, but inside of the region, there's a noise texture that scrolls that will step up the texture or step up the color, I think. You might be able to see it here. Maybe not. You can see like these little purple ones here around the light. Those are the noise texture stepping the color up. They should reach over here though. There we go. There's like I don't know if you could see that on the stream, but there was a little orange pixel that showed up there. So yeah, I'm going to play around with that. I'm probably going to increase the radius of that so it's more noticeable, but we've got other things to do. All right, let's just start experimenting then with player board size increase stuff. So yeah, I got a comment yesterday in the Discord, which I agree with, which is that when you first start the game, you start with a 2x2 board, and that feels very limiting, especially when you start with 2 skeletons, because if I go and get like a booster, I basically can't use the cards that I get from early boosters. I basically have to get a board size increase before I can start actually building a build. Otherwise, I'm just stuck with skeletons. So like this, there's nothing I can do with this. Like the most complicated build I can do with these is this, right? I could make use of this and do this, but it's just very limiting. So there's a couple of ways to address that. One way is to just increase the default board size to 3x3 or something like that, which I may do. But I also want to make the board size increases a little bit more interesting. So I had this idea to make it so that you can unlock cells by spending blood. And I don't really know exactly how that's going to work. So the idea would be like you could click on this cell here. You could go here and click to unlock that, expand the board in whatever direction you want. The interesting thing about that too is that you could put a cell here and have like a board that's this 2x2, but then it has a cell here, so you could fit like something here. You know what I mean? Make the player start with some blood, and then if he wants to use some bigger card, just need to use the alchemy. Yeah, that could work. Is there any room for maybe modifying tiles on the board to have an effect on cards in that tile? Yeah, that I might do that in the future. I'm trying not to like expand the number of mechanics in the game, but if I think the game needs something like that, I'll add it. But mostly right now, I'm trying to figure out how to solve this issue. So you start with too small of a board, your agency is limited. Really, the problem is you don't have much agency at the beginning. You don't really have much agency with your build at all until you get some board size increases. That could be a precursor to locked cells. Have it start out as 3x3, for example, but the cells outside the 2x2 are locked and can be unlocked. Yeah, something like that would work for sure, or could work. So I just don't know. Like, is the unlocking approach a good approach with blood? The other question, too, is what would that grow board event turn into then? Maybe with the, so if I go to the unlocking cells route, so if I start the playable area as 2x2, but then have a ring around that with a bunch of unlockable cells, what the grow board could do is it could just add another ring of unlockable cells to the board. That's one thing it could do. It could also just give you a couple of free unlocks. Maybe lock cells around the board that cost blood to unlock. Board increase. Event could become unlock an amount of locked cells, maybe. Yeah. Could do Slay the Spire style intro where the player can pick 3 options before starting. One of them could be a larger starting board or extra starting money. Yeah, I think... so I kind of already have that, right? Because there's a start node, and the start node has 3... or it could have multiple options branching off the start node, but none of the options are combat. So the start node is there's never a combat node connected directly to the start node. So like in this case, I can choose a booster, I can choose to upgrade immediately. So I kind of already have that. I could definitely lean into that and make it so that there's more starting node connections, so you can really determine where to go. But I kind of already have that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need to have a dialogue or a UI where it's like, what do you want to start with? It's just what you want to start with is just going to be a natural consequence of which node you visit first in the run, right? One big agency frustration was that it always expands horizontally before vertically, and this approach solves that. Yeah, I think that's right. I just need to figure out how I want to handle adding more locked cells. I mean, I could just make the board 5x5 or whatever, and just have all of the cells outside of the middle 2x2 locked. Maybe that's what beating a boss does. Increases your board size. Well, if you guys are interested in the locked cells, let's do that first. Let's do the locked cells first, and then we'll figure out all the other questions that come from that. But I think that's going to be the first thing to figure out, is how to do the locked cells. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a screenshot. Let's go into Asprite. I'm just going to mock up what this could look like. Okay. Load default palette. So let's just do this. Where's the 18 by 18? I think it's that. Is that right? No, it starts in the top left. What? I'm confused. Okay. So it's like this basically. All right. So let's just do this. Let's create that. Do the classic lock icon, I suppose. Well, that's a pretty terrible lock icon, but it's all right. Maybe I'll figure out something else for it. In any case, maybe that's not good either. Oops. Something like that, perhaps. Just want to see what this looks like if they're all filled in. I should have made the board bigger. That's okay. These are not aligned. Anyway. So I should have made the board bigger, but something like that. I don't know. So you've got your locked cells here. The art, you know, can be changed at any point, but you got your art, and basically what you would do is you would take your little... Oh, that's on the wrong layer, I guess. Control C, Control V. Nope. Control C. Take the little mouse, hover over it. Then you could click, or maybe click and hold or something to unlock them. That might work. And a chain X-like design behind it. Oh, that could work, yeah. Could do an X maybe. Maybe just a keyhole. We could try that. So let's take this. Let's duplicate this. Okay, I will remove all the stuff that I did here. Ah. We'll keep the key or the lock icon there. Okay, and then a chain, right? Oh goodness, how am I going to do this? Wonder if I should use the symmetry. It does not fit nicely in the middle. That's kind of annoying. Maybe now it'll work. Doesn't quite work. Okay, let's do this instead. Let's undo that. It's probably because this needs to actually be here. That's a little bit weird too, though. I don't know, let's see if it works. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. Okay. I just copy this, paste this over here. Oops. Yeah, it's like not symmetrical. Why is that happening? Okay, let's just put this stuff back. I guess that's just the way it is. Gonna have to deal with the lack of symmetry there, I suppose. But something like that can work, I suppose. Doesn't need to be perfect. Even if it doesn't fit nicely, that was quite impressive. Thank you. Good morning, Ninja Link. Maybe embrace the asymmetry, have a chain be less taut on a corner or something. That's a good idea. Welcome back to the stream, by the way, Nick. Always good to see you. Lock needs to be one thicker, maybe. I think the problem is just the way that this is, the way that these grid cells are tiled. I mean, I could always just make it longer on the bottom, I suppose. Ah, get away. Get away, symmetry. That doesn't look right either. Oops, I'm on the wrong layer. Classic. Like that needs to be there and that needs to be there, and it's like completely off. Is it completely off? It's like off center compared to this thing. Yeah, maybe the lock does need to be thicker. Let's try it. I guess that looks better. Now this one seems weird up here. I don't know if this is going to work. I might have to do embrace the asymmetry. Actually, that looks okay. Maybe that could work. Yeah, that might work. Let's see. Oops. Good to see you too, yeah. You could rotate the lock so it's less of a centered element. That would give you some forgiveness, letting the chains be symmetrical. Cannot type up today, apparently. Typos everywhere. I'm so close. Is it still not looking right? I mean, what happens if I... Like if I add... Doesn't look right. Now it's the problem of making these look like chains. Looks good to me, looking good. Okay, All right. We'll give it a shot. We'll keep trying it. That's probably all right. Do we want to add little highlights here? I think it looks fine. Did I do this on the wrong layer? Oh, gosh. It's fine, whatever. Merge. Oh, I should save this as a... Let's see. I should actually save this as a real thing. Assets. Now I don't know where this is supposed to be saved. Grid.png. Assets grid. Why can't I not find that? Oh, it's here. Assets grid. Okay. We're just going to do locked mockup, I guess. Let's clean this monstrosity up a little bit. Okay, that should do it. So now what does this look like if I repeat this a bunch? Oh, that's going to be a problem. It's like clipping into the sides over there. Anyway, that'll probably work. It clips onto the bottom. So maybe I just don't outline it. It's kind of a cool pattern. Anyway, the change being a single muted color looked great. IMO. The lighting does look sick too, though. I'm torn. Yeah, I'm worried maybe the lighting might be a little bit too busy. But I can change that later. I don't necessarily need to get the art perfect here. I just wanted to have something so that I can actually experiment with adding unlockable cells. That's going to be the bulk of the effort, is figuring out how in the world to get this to work. So let's do this. Yeah. So I can... How do I want to do this? So there's a bunch of components here. So I'm going to have a board that's bigger by default, which means that I'm going to need to mark the locked cells in my board inventory component. So my logic that manages the grid, it needs to know which cells are locked, which should be relatively straightforward. It's just I have to update a bunch of operations to account for locked cells as well. So I'm going to need to mark all the cells that are locked, but then I also need to be able to handle mouse input on the board in an attempt to unlock cells. So yeah, the first step there is then to get the board. So we've got a board scene here. This is probably going to be the thing responsible for showing all of the locked cells. I think I can use... let me think. Almost wonder if I should make that part of the tile map layer. I probably should. So I should probably add a new tile here that's the locked cell tile. So where do I do that at? Let me copy this. Open file, assets grid, grid.asprite here. Let's paste this here for now. Grab this one, move it down, grab this, move it over. Yeah, that can work. So that can be our locked cell there. Is it off center? Oh no, is it off center? It looks a bit off center, but whatever. We'll do it live. Okay, so now I've got this cell that I can use in my tile map layer here. So yeah, probably we'll just want to modify the tile map layer. Although, is that... I don't know if that's what I want to do. You know what I could do is I could make this locked thing. What am I doing? I can make this locked thing muted by default and then light it up when you hover on it. That might work. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyway, we'll start with this one. So grid tiles, I need to go to my tile set. I need to add this. Okay. The cells bitmask on a split index array, maybe. I don't know what that means, to be honest. What I'm doing in my board inventory component is I'm just using a bunch of hash sets. So I've got like a hash set which contains all the valid grid cells, hash set for cards on board. So the valid grid cells, these are all the cells that are on the board. So, and that's being used all kinds of places. Hello, Rin. Welcome back. You can utilize the alternative tile setting in the tiled layer. I don't need to use the alternative tile. I'll just change the tile index. Write a large over the locked tile. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break. And when I get back, I will continue on. We got to basically figure out what the heck to do about this. Adding the locked cells to the data. Hello, December A. Are you still a full-time game developer? You also have a full-time software developer job. I'm still doing this full-time for now. We will see how Alchemortis does. The success or failure of Alchemortis will determine if I have to get another job. Split index might be the wrong term, but a flat array you can treat like a multi-dimensional array using a little bit of clever math with the XY size of the array. Oh, I got you. Okay. Interesting. I'll probably just continue with the hash set that I've been building out here. I don't know, we'll figure it out. But anyway, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and when I come back, we will figure out how to do all this stuff. So, BRB. Okay, I'm back. Alrighty, so this valid grid cells always confuses me. What is going on here? So valid grid cells is basically just a list of all the cells on the board. So get empty cells. Okay. Valid grid cells. Where is this initialized? Valid grid cells. Add. So add grid cells. Where's this coming from? Oh, this is not used. Interesting. Goodbye. Set board dimensions. So this is where the valid grid cells are being set up. Interesting. Let me take a look at my board script as well. Got a tile map in here. I think I have a tile map. Yeah, tile map layer here. Update tile map visuals. This is being called when the board gets resized, I think. On grid changed. Yeah. Update tile map visuals. So, yeah, so this board here is basically being purely responsive to this board inventory component. So yeah, the main thing to do here is to get the locked cells working in this board inventory component here. I can sometimes hear the stream playlist even when not watching. Is it burned into your brain? Look at all these places where valid grid cells is used. So honestly, I think it looks like what I'm doing here is I think I could probably simplify a lot of this stuff too. What I'm thinking about doing is doing this. So we're going to have a private read-only hash set vector2i locked cells. I almost want to just do like a property in here, private hash set vector2i empty cells is equal to, or let's do this, valid grid cells dot accept locked cells dot accept occupied cells. So that will give me a list of all empty cells. And I wonder if I could just use this everywhere that I'm using this valid cells. Let's start with that. Before I even do anything with the locked cells, let's see if I can replace these instances here. So get empty cells, this would just be a matter of returning empty cells here. Okay. Query affected cells, valid grid cells. Oh, I see. So there's a little bit of a trickiness in here. So when I'm doing the querying with this query options here, I do want to query sometimes the cells that contain cards. Okay, we'll handle that one in a second. Get query description, standalone cells, union with valid grid cells, except occupied cells. This has to be empty cells, I believe. Okay, look at all these instances. Okay, it's fine. We'll fix them. Try place card at sequential position. So I think I probably need another one. So we've got empty cells, which is the set of all cells that are valid, that aren't locked, and are not occupied by cards. I think what I probably need to do here is I need to do another one, which is what? Oh no, I just had it unlocked cells. Well, it should just be valid cells except locked cells. So this now can be used here. This will be unlocked cells. Same here. If not unlocked cells contains grid position. If not unlocked cells contains position. Can place card at position. This one I thought I could simplify, but I can't. So we'll keep that the way it is. We'll do unlocked cells contains check position there. Get all valid placement cells. This needs to be unlocked cells there. Get cards in row, or get... Yeah, I actually don't think I need to change this one, but I might as well. This is probably going to generate every time, so maybe I should not do that. Well, let's do this. Okay. Keep moving down. Get valid grid cells. Where is this used? I guess I'll just keep that the way it is. It's fine. Get overlapping cards. I probably will want to cache this value because as of right now, every time I reference it, it's going to recalculate, which is probably not going to create a noticeable difference, but I can clean that up later. Find nearest valid empty position. Unlocked cells. Occupied cells excluding 4 card. All right. Well, this is either going to work or it's going to be very broken. We will see what happens. Probably place card at get next available position. Order by cell to sequential. This is the part where I think it's probably going to break. Recalculate board dimensions. What is this? Is this used anywhere? Nope. Goodbye. Try add valid neighbor cell. What? Is this used anywhere? I don't think so. Oh, it is. Get neighboring cells. Is this even used anywhere? No, that's not used either. Why are there all these? Goodbye. Goodbye. Okay. Goodness. So we've got most of that working. Get cells in row. I'm worried about that one. Get cells in row. So these kind of like get cells methods here. So there's query affected cells. Is this the only place this is used? It's used in these two places. I think it's safe to do this. We're gonna do unlocked cells. Okay, I think that's gonna work. Is this called anywhere? That's not called anywhere either. Goodbye. All right. So I'm not even gonna use that unlocked cells stuff anywhere. What I'm going to do... One second here. No, that's right. Okay. I'm just going to see if this works. Like, I've made a bunch of changes to the logic, but I haven't actually added any locked cells. So I should see that the board basically functions exactly the same. Yeah, goodbye. I should see that the board functions basically exactly the same. And hopefully that is the case. Probably need some more cards to test this with, but let's see. So that all worked. That's working. This is not going to work. So if I move this and I move that over, all this card repositioning still works, it seems like. Okay. Okay. Let me just make sure that this still works as well. Okay, seems to be working. Let me create a new branch before I forget. So I'm going to get rid of this. Initial work. Locked cells. Cool. So now we actually have to get this working with the player board. So we're going to start the player off with a 4x4 board, but we're going to have the same 2x2 area in the middle here. All right, let's just try it out. So I'm gonna need a way of adding locked cells to the board. Public void. Add locked cells. I guess we could do an IEnumerable. Emit signal grid changed, emit signal board state updated. When is this done? Okay. That should work. Why not just a 3x3? I mean, we could do that too. It's, you know, but I'm working on the locked feature right now, so we'll keep a 2x2 area for now, but we can do a 3x3 for sure. Hello, Yaso Nex. Long time no see. Happy to see how far this game evolved. Yeah, thank you. I think it's going well. It's going well. We just got to do a bunch more stuff here. All right. You know what I'm going to do, actually? I'm going to change this. This is already a hash set, so I can do locked cells, union with edge cells. Okay. We go to the board here. Tile map layer. So this get valid grid cells, this needs to be get unlocked grid cells. Okay. Tile map layer set cell int source ID. What is our tile map position here? 0, 1. Let's see what happens. Hello, V. Welcome. Good to see you again. That did not work, and the reason it didn't work is because I'm not actually locking the cells here. Player board dot player dot board inventory component lock edge cells. Okay. Okay, so we've got some locked cells on the board now. That doesn't work. Yeah, it seems a little bit busy to me, but... Okay. But it seems to be working in terms of I can't place cards there. It's also showing the locked cells there. Probably a little bit busy. I'll probably have to fix that. But the next step is to actually get these unlocking when I click them. I'm trying to think, what is the best way to handle that? Am I handling input in this board here already? No. Where do I want to put the input handling for this? Well, I'm doing input handling in here, I think. Input. Change card input state, clicking down. Where am I going to put this input handling? I don't know if I want to do it. Do I want to do it in the card mouse events manager? Probably not. It worked, yeah, it kind of worked. I got to get it actually working that I can unlock it now. Well, I can start with putting the input in the board itself, I suppose. Oh, is that going to be a good idea? This input handling is a little bit of a nightmare. It's all right, though. Get mouse overboard. Well, we could just override the input here for now. let's just do this. Public override void input. I just want to get it working. We'll figure out how to clean this up later. EVT. If this dot get board manager get mouse over board is not equal to this, return. If EVT dot is action pressed game constants dot and click left. If var cell is equal to tile map layer, tile map layer, there we go, dot map to local. Can I do like world? What is it? Global. What the heck? To local. Oh, I see. Get grid position from global position. Oh, well, I can do that. Get grid position from global position, tile map, layer dot get global mouse position. I actually don't think I need to do that. I think I can just do that. Okay. If locked cells contains that, we're going to do board inventory component. Public void unlock cell. Vector 2i cell. We could just do locked cells dot remove cell emit signal grid change. Emit signal board state updated. Is that, do I need to do that? What is grid changed? I guess I do need to do that. I don't know. I don't know why I have two signals for that. We'll just let it be. Let's see what kind of nightmare that creates. Go MOBA pixel art? I don't know what that means. Welcome, what, though? Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Okay, well, it appears to be working now. Did it work? Obviously, I'll need to tie in some, like, blood costs and stuff, but that appears to be working. Let's see if I can get a 1x1 card. I did not get a 1x1 card, but I can do something like this. Very cool. Oops. Put this one here. Haven't been paying too close attention, just registered the word nightmare around 5 times. That's funny. Okay, I think it's getting there. I'm not so sure about the input handling there, but yeah, so I can do something like this now, which I previously couldn't do, which is I can do this, this, and I can say, oh, unlock that and put the scarab there. Yeah. I think apart from the art maybe needing to be changed a little bit. I think that makes sense. So I think the next step would be to... what? To add a blood cost for unlocking these things. And then, of course, to do an animation and whatnot. That should give the player more agency. And then, of course, like the grow board event. We'll have to figure out what to do with that as well. When cards go into the stash, why do they in from top to bottom instead of left to right? That's just how the algorithm works. You had a dimmed out art while not hovered. Is that less busy? Yeah, we could try it. I mean, I think I can just add it here. And that's 1-1. So if I go to my board, change that to 1-1. Maybe press and hold for a tiny amount of time so you don't spend blood accidentally. Yeah, I think I'm going to do something like that. List looks cooler, but the original lock slots were easier to read. Yeah, I think I agree. These look too flat, I think. So yeah, so basically you could get... Yeah, I gotta figure out what the grow board is gonna do then. Maybe the grow board event, well, let me think. I mean, the grow board event can continue to work the way that it does, I guess. Which resolution for the game are you using? Always question which one to use for pixel art games. 640 by 360. Yeah, 640 by 360. Okay, well, I think that... This experimentation is not really going to pan out until I do some more work with it, because I have to figure out what to do about the grow board event, how that's going to work with the new locked cells. I gotta make the cells cost blood to unlock, and then do a bunch of playtesting with that. So I'll probably be continuing with that this afternoon, maybe working on it on stream tomorrow again, but we'll see. Anyway, that's going to be it for the stream today, though. I got to go grab some lunch, but thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. Again, the Alchemortis playtest is currently live, so if you want to go ahead and give it a test, just head on over to the Alchemortis Steam page, click this request access button here, and you'll get right into the playtest. And yeah, leave some feedback for me in the Discord channel, which is linked below. I would appreciate that. That's the most helpful thing you could do right now for Alchemortis is play the game, give me your feedback. And yeah, you can also join the Patreon. You could join the Discord even if you don't intend to provide feedback. Just come and hang out. All the things are linked in the description below. So I hope that you join. I hope that you have a good day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Okay, bye-bye, everyone.